Kongversation.
I'm outside of hell! Remind me to ask the devil how he keeps his petunias looking so healthy! My petunias always die!
Hello and welcome to the Kongversation. I'm Hyle Russell.
And I'm Jeff Onan.
And we're here today to talk about theme parks. Yes, theme parks. Specifically, the Donkey Kong Island attraction coming up at Universal Orlando's new epic universe. And I'm gonna just loathe myself for saying that repeatedly throughout the episode. Epic universe. Jeez. It's fine. It is what it is. We're getting something cool out of it, so I shouldn't...
It's going to be a really amazing park that just happens to have a slightly lame name.
Yeah, but...
I'm not going to let that get me down, because I think it's a really cool park.
Yeah, although, you know, I suppose DK Vine is a pretty stupid name, too. What the hell does that mean? DK Vine.
Dude, Kongversation? That's not even a very clever pun.
It's not, no. We're terrible at branding, so we really should be sympathetic to the plight of Universal Orlando and the fact that they're just shit at this. But speaking of DK Vine, Jeff, I want to get to some due diligence real quick and just plug DK Vine on Patreon. So as everyone knows, we're currently in a tug-o-war with YouTube over a hilarious misunderstanding about who owns what. Yes, like this is our podcast, but their algorithm doesn't know that. Their bots don't get that. So there's a little hilarious event that happened where they said, no more money for you. And I went, what? And we all had a good laugh.
We all
had a good laugh. That ultimately we laughed so hard that there were tears, very real tears. And, but eventually I was so malnourished from not having money to buy food that the tears just stopped. And now there's just wheezing. So it's good. It's a good thing.
That's progress.
Yeah, it's progress. So
yeah,
now more than ever, really have to plug our Patreon. So anything you could contribute on a monthly basis helps keep this site running, helps keep the dream of DK Vine alive on the eve of our 20th anniversary. So, you know, you do $1 a month and you get stickers. You get free stickers, DK Vine brand stickers sent.
You can stick them to anything.
Anything that is adhesive. Like, you couldn't stick it to the ocean because then they would just get soggy and float away.
We can't stop you.
We can't stop you. If this is what you want to do with your stickers, you say, I want to put them in the ocean. Well, one, that's polluting. Like, that's littering the sea with your filth. And I guess our stickers are more environmentally sound than like plastic straws, so the dolphins probably won't mind as much. But honestly, you shouldn't do it. This is not an encouragement to just scatter about stickers through the sea. You're a mad person if you want to do this, but we can't stop you. And that's what $1 a month will give you.
Please tag us on Twitter with the craziest things that you've stuck your stickers to.
You know, that's a really good idea. Yeah, so show us where you stick our stickers. And I'm sure this is a good idea. I'm sure.
It's just going to be all feet again. It's going to be, you know what? It's going to be a foot fest.
I found out something about our audience, and I'm going to lean into it. Or rather, I'm going to like step all over it. And we're really going to get some content for you foot fanatics out there. Don't you worry. But yeah, $2 a month gets you early access to Kongversation episodes as well as video content. $5 a month lets you listen to this live. So all of the terrible bits in between these golden bits that we had to cut out, you'll get to hear those. The infamous episode at E3 that we had to re-record. Remember that, Jeff?
No, I don't.
$5.
That was the problem.
$5 and up patrons got to watch that. So that's a little lost piece of history just for them. So these are what the stakes are, people. $5 and up. And it goes and goes and goes. But we give rewards, physical rewards. We're not just asking for your money like more successful Patreon campaigns. No, we actually give you shit in addition to the usual content. So dkvine.com/Patreon. I love all of our patrons. equally, but I also love the ones who give more the most. But that's just, unconscious favoritism at work. I try to love all of you equally.
Look, it's a capitalist world. You can play
Is it?
along or you can get left behind.
Is it? I think it's a capitalist country we're both in. I wouldn't say the whole world is that way, but
Our country is the world.
oh yeah, yeah, you're right. I mean, that's what I was taught in my fine public school.
That's what you were taught when you were a tot. A little Scots tot.
A Scots taught, right? Let's talk about why everyone's here. Because they don't want us to hear, they don't want to hear us talk, Jeff, about our lack of money. They want to hear us talk about the Donkey Kong attraction that we now have confirmed is coming to Universal Orlando's Epic Universe.
Well, I don't know if I'd use the word confirmed so much as that we can deduce that it's certain from what we have, but they haven't actually announced what the attractions will be.
Sure.
We can see it in the picture in this concept art, so we know it's there.
At the same time, you could solve a murder and the murderer could never confess, but it would still more or less be confirmed. And right now, we've got a body on the floor with a knife in its back, covered in the fingerprints, with somebody's image recorded on the security footage of them committing the act. Essentially, that's where we're at.
But the glove doesn't fit, is all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but in that sweltering Florida humidity, the fine leather is going to shrink, right? I don't know what leather does. Does it shrink or does it grow? Or does it just stay the same?
It just pulsates. It kind of squeams,
I see now why people sexualize it so much then, because this all right, so Donkey Kong Island at Epic Universe. Oh god, it doesn't get any better the more I say it. Epic Universe.
Honestly, the worst part is the false advertising when you put the word epic in there and then you don't have a Fortnite attraction.
Well, I was making a joke that my brain was going towards Epic Mickey. And I'm like, oh, that's cool that they'll probably have an Epic Mickey attraction at Universal Studios. Kirby's
Epic Yarn. Get
right.
Some yarn Kirby in there.
Yeah. But obviously, no, that's not the case. So I think, Jeff, I don't know about you. I don't know about you and your life, and I don't really care about your life. But I know for me, as a kid and a Donkey Kong fan, whenever I would go to a theme park or an amusement park, and I really don't know the difference between those two, but I know Tanya will yell at me for mixing them up, or like a boardwalk attraction on the shore, or like a carnival of some sort, wherever they have rides of the amusing variety, I would always dream of a Nintendo theme park that would bring certain elements of the Donkey Kong Country games to life. Because, at these theme parks, they would always have these branded character rides, like the kiddie coaster would be like branded after Scooby-Doo or something. And so, your brain would go to these places, and Nintendo never did that kind of stuff when you and I were children. And they're still very protective of their IPs and what have you, but I don't know. Like, I think my fantasies usually involved around maybe a minecart coaster, and sometimes I would really dare to dream and think about an entire Kremland, park or something, which is more of a deep cut, I know, but back in 1996, you're thinking, oh wow, what if they made a Kremland park? And what if it blew up just like the real one did? What if we were all engulfed in atomic hellfire from deep beneath the Earth's crust? That would be awesome.
Honestly, I have to say from my own experience that I never really did imagine a Donkey Kong theme park. And I think part of that is because of the theme parks that I was used to going to never really were heavy in theme. They so you can go to an amusement park, you can sit in a teacup that spins around, or you can get on a roller coaster called the Scream and Squeam. But they're light on character, light on I guess, world building elements. And I went to Disney World or Orlando twice in 1996 and in 1997. And not twice each, but that's 2 times total. And I was very, very young. I remember I met Goofy. I got his signature on a hat, and I was very excited.
Was he your first celebrity crush?
No, I was terrified of Goofy because the dude is like fucking 7 feet tall and he's got giant teeth. But I had my mom talk to him for me so I could get his autograph on the. I had a hat that was a Goofy hat that had his ears and eyes and like nose on the front of the bill and everything.
So you scalped him, essentially.
Yeah, that's how I preferred to think about it. But anyway, yeah. So he autographed my hat. I got the Goofy thing. I saw the chipmunks. What are they? Chip and Dale, not Alvin and the Chipmunks. This is different chipmunks.
I saw some Chip and Dales when I was a young child too. I was very disappointed though with the performance. They rescued nothing. They were terrible rangers.
Dude, I thought Chris Farley was pretty hot in that one. No, I think aside from meeting the character actors, I don't remember a lot of theming when I went to Disney World. I remember, and because this is how theme parks used to be designed. They have a bunch of attractions. They're all kind of disparate and singular in their like they're not all connected in a wider arcing theme.
Yeah.
And so you can go right from the teacups into the completely non-related roller coaster to this and that. And it's all just kind of a mishmash of stuff going on. And really, the first time I ever felt the strong theme, and I'm not alone in this because this was a revolution at the time that it came out, was when Universal Studios came out with their Harry Potter Wizarding World. Because even compared to the Disney Worlds and Disney parks of the world, Harry Potter World was like a seismic shift in the way that theme parks design their themes in their kind of like making individual worlds. All of Disney World and Disneyland didn't used to have like really heavily themed separate worlds, so to speak, until Harry Potter World came out and Disney started saying, oh, well, there's Harry Potter World. We're going to have Toy Story Land. We're going to have Cars Land. We're going to have Star Wars Land. And the fact that there's
That's
that
what they
word
call it too, Star Wars Land. Yeah.
Star Wars Planet Edge.
It's 4 worlds. There's flying pigs for some reason.
Yeah, and Darth Vader is only like 3 feet tall in that one. Anyway, they started coming out with these quote unquote worlds or lands where they make a whole area that is very heavily themed on one IP, and that they never did that before Harry Potter came around, because Harry Potter World was just like far and away the most popular singular attraction at any park. Like Universal overall is still playing second fiddle to Disney, but in terms of that one attraction, that was bringing people to the whole park just for one thing. Because of there are fans that are just like so obsessed with that property. But 2, that is the first time they've tried to take a property and really build a world around it. And it's not just like a ride and then right across the street you have The Simpsons. Like you're actually walking through a Harry Potter village with a Hogwarts castle up on the hill, and there's you can go buy your wand at the wand shop and all of this wizarding stuff. But you can't see the rest of the park from the Harry Potter section. You're not seeing a Jurassic Park attraction in the background that destroys your immersion, or so to speak. And so when I was a kid, I never thought about, we could get a Donkey Kong themed place, because I went to Six Flags in Chicago and they had a Batman ride that was just a roller coaster that was painted black.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like they didn't even have any plastic modeling on the coaster to make it look like a Batmobile. It was just a roller coaster that was painted black, and they called it like Batman's Bat Thing coaster.
To be fair,
And,
they painted it black,
you know,
not because they even wanted to theme it after Batman. It was just Mick Jagger walked by and he suggested it.
Well, I mean, when Mick Jagger makes a suggestion, you have to take notice. Yeah, so I never dreamed that this could happen because I didn't think of theme parks as being capable of transporting me to another world. I thought of them.
Theme, yeah.
Yeah, you know, the ride was fun. I like to ride a roller coaster, but I did not feel like I stepped into the world of Batman when I was riding that roller coaster. And you know, we've come a long way since about 10 or so years ago when Harry Potter World came out.
For me, I didn't have a nearby Six Flags, which was probably for my imagination's benefit because I feel like Six Flags, from what I hear, is terrible at this sort of thing. Maybe they're getting better now. I don't know. But the two big parks in Virginia are King's Dominion and Busch Gardens in Williamsburg. And so both are heavily themed, or at least they were. King's Dominion has kind of gotten away from this a bit, but back in the 90s, they would have different areas of the park. So one of those areas, the themed areas, was ostensibly supposed to be based on the movie Congo from the mid-90s. The infamous, I guess, somewhat of a flop, but they built this tropical jungle area of the park, and this is where they eventually put in the volcano coaster, which just closed last year, and they would have like Diamond Falls, which was a tubing ride that, you know, you just like simulates rapids through the jungle, and various other things. But, you know, you could go into a store and buy all sorts of gorilla toys or plushies or whatever. So, of course, in the mid-90s, when I would go here and be in this Congo section, you know where my brain went, Jeff. I mean, I was just projecting slight variances on all of this stuff. So I'd be like, okay, well, the volcano ride, that is a crocodile cauldron. Now it would be the volcano from Returns. But, you know, back then, that was my only reference point for Donkey Kong and Volcano. And so that's really where my brain sort of went. And like elsewhere in King's Dominion, there's a ride called the Grizzly, which is a wooden roller coaster, which aesthetically felt in a lot of places like a minecart ride. Maybe more so of Indiana Jones and a Temple of Doom than any minecart madness or carnage or whatever from Donkey Kong Country. But still, I like to pretend that I was Diddy Kong in a minecart, getting, you know, violently strewn about on this rickety ass wooden roller coaster. So yeah, but it was a fertile playground for my imagination. But I never honestly thought we would ever get to the day where this was an impending reality. And we talked a little about Super Nintendo World, which is the overarching areas of these Universal parks that Nintendo has licensed with Universal for their theme parks around the world. And we talked a little bit about that in season 5 on an episode that Tanya co-hosted, being a huge park buff. You know, she's very much into it. And so we had her on and we talked a little bit about it. But back then, we only had some nuggets, some little tantalizing maybes to really discuss. And in the couple of years since then, we pretty much have a good idea of all of the Donkey Kong elements that this thing is going to have. Not all of them, but we know pretty much the big attraction and everything that it's kind of has in its orbit. So the Super Nintendo World themed areas in the Universal parks, they're starting in Tokyo in 2020, next year, to coincide with the Olympics. But all of this news first broke in 2016. And then in 2017, we, here on the Kongversation, discussed these concept sketches for what looked like a minecart ride, a minecart roller coaster, where the cart is suspended above it's basically a roller coaster that is tiered, so it gives the illusion that you're on a minecart. But
right, the concept there is that the minecart is on like a fake track that looks like it's the track, but it's really attached to a real track down beneath that, so that as the beneath track goes up and down and things, the above track can have breaks in the track, like broken elements of the track, so that it appears that the minecart is jumping over gaps in the track, but really it's attached to a lower track that has no gap in it, and it's not an actual broken rail. But I think they've implemented this mechanism in I'm going to get corrected if I'm wrong, because we have experts in the chat here.
No,
but
Tanya is in the live stream chat right now, and she has been yelling at us over every botch we've made in any, and some purposeful, like, making jokes about Star Wars Land, and she's screaming Galaxy's Edge.
I know what it's called. I'm when I pretend to not know, it's because I'm a liar. But I believe they implemented this track design in the Hagrid roller coaster that they did in their expansion of the Harry Potter world. But that doesn't mean that they're not going to use the same mechanism for Donkey Kong again. Or maybe it wasn't Hagrid. Maybe it was the Gringotts Bank minecart. I don't know. I haven't been back since they expanded it. I haven't not been on any of the new rides.
They announced the Robbie Coltrane ride for the Harry Potterville, or whatever the fuck it's called. Tanya, I don't care. And we've lost her as a patron. And
oh no.
And I made jokes then. It's like, oh, come on, Robbie Coltrane, who plays Hogwarts or whatever he plays in the Harry Potter movies. Hagrid. Yeah, no, Hogwarts is the school.
Hogwash is the headmaster.
Yeah, Hogwash is the best one out of all three. But I made a joke on Twitter, like, how could you do us dirty like this, taking our minecart ride and using it for yourself when you're a rare alum? You were in GoldenEye, man. But he never responded. He never responded.
That's rude. Ghosting
Very
you.
rude.
Yeah, no, I think just because they've used the mechanism before doesn't mean they won't use it again, especially because the concept was very clearly more based on like mine carts, like very Donkey Kong Country-esque mine carts. Like, so I think they'll use the same. And also, it's in a separate park. So it's not like two of the same ride in the same park. Epic Universes is a whole park that is a couple miles down the road from the other two parks at Universal. So
yeah, Universal basically just keeps expanding, like Walt Disney World keeps expanding and just keeps adding new parks.
Well, that's kind of one of their advantages, is that Universal has room to expand down in Florida, but Disney, the parks in California, all the other parks are pretty much expanded out, like, as much as they can. So Universal has the leeway to completely, like, and that's kind of the concept behind Epic Universe, this new park, is that we talked about that Harry Potter world, how that was this very revolutionary thing that has changed the industry, where Disney's doing the same thing now, where it's very theme heavy and self-contained. Epic Universe is an entire park designed around that concept. Every single hub, like they have hubs that go out into singular worlds, and each world only has one entry point and exit point. It does not connect to the other worlds in any way. It only connects to the hub world and not to any other park. So say the Donkey Kong Land, there is no hallway that goes from Donkey Kong Land into a Universal Monsters castle. The only way out of Donkey Kong Land is back to the hub world, so that it does not break the immersion of being in a separate world or a separate universe, because the concept of the Epic Universe is sort of like you're traveling to other universes from the hub.
Yeah, it's basically one big chest of time. So obviously, you're going to have park employees dressed as giant gloves, and it's going to be a whole thing.
Probably. They're going to have just like a guy running around in Master Hand costume, but then a second guy in a slightly more manic glove costume. Because you gotta have that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that the fact that these parks, these individual worlds within the park, they all have high walls around them. They all, presumably, you won't be able to see anything from another world from inside each individual world, and the only way in and out. Whereas every other park in the world, they don't have them as self-contained as this. You can travel from, one world right into the next world and all this stuff. This is designed from the ground up to completely be immersive in a individual pocket universe. So that's going to be amazing. I'm really excited about that feature of the design.
Now, I also don't think the high walls are just for the immersion aspect. I think they're also to keep the ocean at bay when climate change puts the whole state underwater.
Yeah, but I'm already combating that. If the water gets too high, I'm just going to throw my DK Vine Patreon stickers at them.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Well, that would be the appropriate place to finally test that out. So I would love to see Matt's crude sketches floating right next to the Donkey Kong attraction. It would be like it'd be just poetic in a very stupid way.
Yeah,
so
in like a poetry kind of way.
So a couple months after we did this episode with Tanya, Attractions Magazine, which is where old friend of DK Vine, Banks Lee, actually works. It's very weird how our worlds are so intertwined and how small this fucking planet actually is. Because Banks Lee, before he worked for Attractions Magazine, went to college in Texas and was an actor on the TV show that Chad and I created and wrote for. So it's just weird that now Banks is out there in Florida covering the theme parks there and reporting on Super Nintendo World, and it's just like, oh, he's sending me these little tips about Donkey Kong Island back in 2017, and I'm just like, wow, how small is this ecosystem of people that are in my life? Like, I'm really sheltered, apparently. So, June 2017, right around the time of E3, we found out a little bit more information, and we had it confirmed, or at least soft confirmed through these various leaks, that there was a Donkey Kong section being considered for Super Nintendo World in Orlando. And this predated any information about like Epic Universe, which just was announced officially this week. At the time, we just knew that they were putting a Super Nintendo World in Orlando and that Donkey Kong would probably be a significant part of that. And this is, I think, before they like just decided to expand, no pun intended, the park, and eventually came up with the Epic Universe plans.
Yeah. This was at the time they were putting it in the existing parks and replacing old, outdated rides. Like, I think maybe it was like the Woody the Woodpecker area with like a bunch of old cartoons and stuff, something like that. Maybe
only boomers care about Woody Woodpecker. Literally, true boomers care about Woody Woodpecker, not any of these memey stuff about
fake boomers like me and you.
Fake boomers, yeah, Jeff. I mean, we were the greatest generation's children. I remember I was born on the battlefields of World War II. So
yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I'm still upset about Jim Morrison.
Yeah, me too. Whenever the Doors come on the radio, I'm upset.
Yeah. Whenever the Doors come on the radio, I hide in the jungle because I know that there's a helicopter of Americans coming to shoot me.
It's just like Mick Jagger's always suggesting to paint things black. Jim Morrison's always asking me to touch him, and I'm just like, you're nothing but bones, Jim Morrison. I'm not going to touch your bones.
But if anybody can stick stickers to Jim Morrison's bones, please tag us on Twitter. We'd like to see all the places you stick the stickers.
This is the ultimate DK Vine Kongversation listener challenge. I want Jim Morrison's skeleton covered in our stickers. Look, I don't care about the legalities. I don't care about whether it's a disgrace to his memory. I don't care about his family.
All of this aside, please don't break the law. Don't get in trouble. Do dig up the remains of Jim Morrison and stick stickers to his skeleton. Do that.
Yes.
But don't break the law. But do dig up his body and cover it with DK Vine stickers.
And then take a selfie with it.
Tag us on Twitter.
Please. Slide into our DMs.
So they were looking at replacing certain outdated attractions in the existing parks with Nintendo-based new attractions before they decided to build an entirely brand new park on like 100-some acres a couple miles down the road that they had acquired. So this is where we were at around 2017, looking at concepts of, where would the Nintendo world go within Universal Studios or in the Islands of Adventure or whichever. They're two existing parks.
Yeah. So I am going to read this verbatim paragraph from Attractions Magazine back in June 2017 describing the plans for Donkey Kong. All right?
All right.
So, all right. So this is just a little historical context, because,
that's a very clever pun.
This has been a slowly unfolding story over the last couple of years, and it's just kind of interesting to see where we were back then versus where we are now with utmost certainty. The knife in the back, blood gushing out, that yes, there was a murder committed here, and Donkey Kong is the culprit. So, according to Attractions Magazine, it said, the next ride, Donkey Kong, they just call it Donkey Kong, Donkey Kong the ride, we painted it brown. The next ride, Donkey Kong, will transport guests to Donkey Kong Island from the moment they step into the theme space through a warp pipe naturally. Because I don't think Banks wrote this article, but naturally Banks would know that the only way you can get to Donkey Kong Island from the Mushroom Kingdom is through the warp pipe as seen in Mario Party.
Right, because canonically they take place in different dimensions and not on the same planet.
Established by Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle Donkey Kong Adventure.
And never contradicted in any Mario game ever.
Never. No, never on any platform game. So, okay, where were we? Sorry, my nonsense gets in the way, and then
naturally
we're on a nonsense tirade, and then I have to get back
warp
to
pipe naturally.
Natural. Oh, I thought you were saying naturally my nonsense gets in the way.
No, I'm helping you. I'm helping you return to...
Okay. The attraction will be inside a show building with the remnants of a temple as a facade surrounded by tropical set pieces. The ride system is rumored to be a roller coaster that's disguised inside a rickety wooden mine track. It'll have a launch element with a scene that I've been told is not unlike Escape from Gringotts in Diagon Alley.
It's Dragon Alley.
Dragon Alley. And will take guests through twists and falls as well as outside the show building. The Kong family and creatures from the game will be seen in the ride with a mixture of screens and animatronics. Based on several sources, the intensity of the coaster will be comparable to Escape from Gin Blossoms, and Revenge of the Mummy.
Mummy, that one I'm not even going to laugh with you. You should have just said mummy. There's nobody says mummy. This joke is just wore out for me now.
The joke is that I don't know things that aren't Donkey Kong, Jeff. I'm a sheltered man.
I know the joke.
Wallowing in his own diapers.
Oh, sorry. I got distracted. I'm reading the live stream chat. They don't like us. Anyway. Yeah, so... Yes. Yeah, they were looking at making it into a kind of I would say that is a fairly intense coaster. Not intense like physically, demanding or anything, but like I've ridden on the Mummy ride and I thought like, wow, that was like really thrilling. So I would imagine that making that comparison, that the plans are for this to be a very thrilling coaster.
It sounds heavy. It sounds heavy and like pageantry. It's like,
yes, the mixture of screens and animatronics, definitely.
It's not about making you lose control of your bowels. It's more about making you appreciate the beauty of this world we live in.
They're not going to whip you around so fast you shit yourself, but when Ellie the elephant pops into your field of view, you will shit yourself.
I mean,
for a totally different reason.
Right. It's going to be a more profound shitting of thyself rather than just this involuntary mess that you're making, and you're going to
I'm gonna
appreciate
be-
it as you clean yourself up in the washroom afterward.
I'm going to be so immersed in the theme that I'm just going to start throwing my shit, like the residents of Donkey Kong Island likely do when they're off camera.
Right. And I imagine then you'll be arrested, much like Bumper the Badger, which you'll be able to appreciate then on a second level. You'll be able to tell them as they're hauling you away, this is just like what happened to Bumper the Badger from off of Diddy Kong Racing. Well done, Universal, with the theming.
Yeah, but I'm going to get a lot of retweets when I take a selfie with the stickers that I put on the walls inside of the theme park jail.
You're also going to be riding the coaster with the bones of Jim Morrison. You know, he's giving you a +1 for the easy pass or whatever.
We're going to break on through to the other side.
Yeah,
as we're trying to escape from theme park jail.
So, around this time, there was also an overview map of the purported plans for the park, because a lot has changed since then. But, Jesus, this map is so small in the dock. I apologize.
Oh, no, it's not small. It's small if you have human eyes, but, I'm sure you planned this to be read by panthers or something.
Fuck, I made it worse. Jeff, I'm sorry. Oh, God.
It's fine.
This is
I can use my imagination. There was probably, a Fire Emblem world?
Yeah, no. There was a Zelda kingdom. I believe it was called Zelda's Kingdom. Not even called Hyrule or anything of the sort. Zelda's Kingdom. There's a whole Super Mario World chunk. And there was a Kirby's kids playland.
Yep.
So because Kirby gets stuck
because of all of Kirby's kids. That's where they play. Kirby is a father of many, many little puffballs.
No, it's because when parents want to get away from the children they never wanted to have in the first place, then they just want them sucked up into a pink gelatinous blob, and they don't have to deal with them for a while. They'll go to the bars. It's fine. They're fine. They're safe. They're cocooned.
Look, if you're tired of watching your kids and you want to leave them at a thrill ride playground for a few hours, most people I know have been taking them down to the Neverland Ranch. And
Jeff,
Michael
that's
Jackson.
so inappropriate. That's so wildly, outrageously inappropriate. And also, 10 years out of date.
Okay, first of all, I'll admit it was inappropriate and I apologize. But I will not let you, of all people, tell me my jokes are out of date. Because that is too far coming from Hyle Russell.
My jokes have aged like a fine wine or cheese. And you know what? If you want to dig up the bones of Michael Jackson, I don't recommend us putting our stickers on them because I feel like that's bad branding. Let's not be associated with that right now. But I'm sure there's some hilarious hijinks, some jungle hijinks we can get involved in with his skeleton as well. So maybe that is something we'll have to ask the people in the live stream chat.
Yeah, please let us know on Twitter. Let us know on Twitter, what should we do with Michael Jackson's bones?
Maybe we can make him a Skelly Lord.
Sea of Thieves reference. I see you're trying to lose your audience again.
I made a tweet about WizPig today, and I was like, people will love this. And then I immediately saw, one follower unsubscribe from DK Vine. And it's just shit!
It's just, how do you please these people?
What do you want? I tweet about Sea of Thieves, I lose followers. I tweet about WizPig, I lose followers. I don't understand. I'm just out-of-touch boomer.
Thinking about that, though, Diddy Kong Racing would make for a really good theme park because it really basically is a theme park.
It was based on Disney World, or Disneyland, or one of the Disneys. Okay. Yeah, Wild Cartoon Kingdom, the building blocks that became Diddy Kong Racing, it was essentially based around the whole theme park area with the different worlds, the different areas. You got the snowy area, you've got the beachy area, you've got the Renaissance Fair area, you've got space.
So looking at this concept, this was back when this was part of the existing park at Universal. But obviously Mario is the biggest influence on the area, but very sizable Donkey Kong area, Zelda area, and a small Kirby area. If anyone's wondering, well, why wouldn't they do Pokemon or something? Because Pokemon is probably as big or bigger than anything Nintendo. But
Yeah, it's probably
I
because
think
Pokemon companies like, no, we have our own theme park. Fuck
yeah,
off.
Pokemon, it's just like too complicated in terms of there's a lot of thumbs in that pie. Whereas Nintendo has like full control over what they do with Mario, so it's just simpler. Although I feel like if you made an entire park that was Pokemon themed, it would be like the biggest park in the world.
Don't they have a Pokemon park in Japan?
Do they? I don't know. I've never been to Japan. I don't read about Japan because I can't go there.
Yeah, no, I know.
I don't have any money. No,
It's sad
because
life you live, Jeff.
it's because back in the 80s I got caught transporting marijuana, and now I'm not allowed to go to Japan.
Although, you followed it up with Tug of War, which was a really good... Oh, are these the references that you say are out of date that I make? Because I was just yes-anding your Paul McCartney joke, and...
Yeah, see, I'm glad you pointed out the word Paul McCartney, because I feel like if you hadn't, nobody listening would realize that my thing was a reference to Paul McCartney. Although it wasn't for them, it was for you, so...
Yeah, we really just do this show for each other, Jeff, and nobody else. This is just pathetic,
All right.
really. All right.
Yeah.
So, anyway, no Pokemon, no Fire Emblem, but guess what was there, Jeff? Guess what was on the map, and guess what it was labeled as? Can you guess it? Yeah, you can.
What was
It's
it?
right there in the document.
Yeah, I can see it.
Donkey Kong Island. So, Zelda was Zelda's Kingdom. Then you had Mushroom Kingdom labeled as like the hub entrance, but then Super Mario World Ride was over there. So Mario is like torn in half. Like just you don't have like Dreamland or anything. It's Kirby's Kids Playground, like just super generic and depressing sounding. But here in the corner, in the most lush part of the map, with the palm trees and the water, it's Donkey Kong Island. Like what? Like it's not just like Donkey Kong section or a like Donkey Kong Jungle. Donkey Kong Jungle. Like this is better than most cameo games can muster. Like is DK Jungle let's just give him a ski resort as his theme park attraction. Fuck it, right?
Donkey Kong Mountain.
Right. No, Donkey Kong Island. And I don't know what would be the more deep cut, Donkey Kong Island or Congo Jungle. But I would almost wager and say Donkey Kong Island might be a little bit more of a deep cut, just because I feel like Congo Jungle gets a pass because of the Smash stages. Anyway, so yeah, Donkey Kong Island. So, super exciting. And around the same time, some concept art leaked that was based heavily, and when I say based heavily, I mean exclusively on the Retro Studios Donkey Kong Country games, both Returns and Tropical Freeze. And this shows the Congo Jungle with DK's Jungle Hut from the Returns era, with the straw roof and the Kong over the door. And you like that's like the main centerpiece, but then you've got the minecart attraction represented behind it. You've got something that looks like Mamie Cranky's shop with like a slide coming out of it, and you have screaming pillars, and you've got the dodo birds from Los Mangroves walking around. You've got Professor Chops and his little checkpoint kiosk. Like the turtles from Tropical Freeze. Like, holy shit!
Is that in the center? Really hard for me to see, but I feel it looks like slices of the giant fruit from Fruit Factory in Tropical Freeze.
I see what you're talking about, and I know
it's just
on the
some colors. I'm just looking at a blob of color and thinking, it's really deep cut reference.
Your mind has seen what it wants to see, Jeff.
That's fair.
I'm seeing the image of the devil. So I'm just like, whoa. Yeah, I'm just like, wow, this whole place is cursed. They're obviously building Epic Universe on a like sacred burial ground. And it's going to be like Poltergeist, where the bones of Jim Morrison pop up. And
you just moved the headstones. Okay. That's a good movie. I like that movie.
Yeah. Craig T. Nelson's going to be shouting at this place as it opens. He's just going to be
but Toby Hooper doesn't. I stomped all over your joke just now, and I'm sorry, but this
Yeah,
is really
that's
important
fine.
to me that the viewers understand that Tobe Hooper directed that movie, and that was his vision. And this fucking rumor that has never been dispelled or will never go away, that Steven Spielberg was the real director behind the scenes, calling all the shots, is fucking bullshit. Because Tobe Hooper went to his grave not being recognized as one of the greatest horror directors in history. And Steven Spielberg was spent his whole past 30 years trying to tell people, yeah, dude, that was Tobe Hooper's movie. But one damn journalist put the rumor out there, and now nobody will shut up about it. Sorry.
So really what we have to do is we have to dig up Tobe Hooper's skeleton and really show him a good day out. Really, like, give him the time of his, not life, but whatever comes after, and really take him, I think, throughout Donkey Kong Island at Epic Universe. I think that would make up for the injustice done. Or maybe it would be worse, considering we're just, again, desecrating a corpse.
Yeah, but I think Tobe Hooper would be okay with it on account of, in Poltergeist, all of the bodies that pull up in the swimming pool during the storm scene. Those were real human skeletons that they got because, that's just was cheaper than making a bunch of fake skeletons. And I feel like Tobe Hooper would understand the karmic justice in that if we use his skeleton for something,
We're just paying it forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I hope someone does something with my skeleton someday.
Holy shit, the upcoming Kongversation at this park is going to be a really morbid affair.
Yeah, you're not allowed in unless you bring a skeleton of a celebrity with you.
Yeah.
And we'll have a contest to see who brought the coolest one.
And don't get cheeky. It has to be a dead celebrity. Like, you can't walk in with Benedict Cumberbatch on your arm and you say, well, technically the skeleton is underneath. Like, no! Benedict, either you kill yourself now and let's scrape off that flesh, or you're not getting in.
If you bring Sharon Tate's skeleton, I think that there's actually, like, a skeleton and a half there because...
No!
Oh, no.
I mean,
okay.
timely reference, as timely as we can get with 50-year-old references, but no!
What were we talking about? Donkey Kong?
The Manson murders. So, I think Bruce Lee could have stopped the whole thing. I don't know why they didn't just call him.
That's true of every problem from those several decades. Like, why didn't they call Bruce Lee?
From 50 years ago. Beatles are breaking up? Why didn't they get Bruce Lee as a member?
Iranian hostage crisis? Why didn't you call Bruce Lee?
Wait. Iranian hostage crisis? What wasn't that after his death?
I don't know when Bruce Lee died, Hyle. I'm not really a baby boomer. I was born in the 90s.
You're talking about the Iranian hostage crisis of 1980, right?
Yeah, Jimmy Carter style.
Yeah, no, Bruce Lee was long dead by then.
I wouldn't know. He's just some karate man. I don't know when
Bruce
he died.
Lee in, like, Star Wars? No, he wasn't, so therefore he was dead. Because
Yeah,
if Bruce Lee's alive, you're going to get him in Star Wars.
That's true. That's a good point. That's so. But if you can bring us his skeleton, you're probably going to get a lot of retweets.
What is this show? What are we doing? What is this, Jeff? I don't know.
And over time, it seemed like we were getting some rumors that, like, they were dropping the Zelda attraction, they were dropping the Kirby stuff.
It was worrisome because this is a multi-million-dollar affair, and I haven't counted because I'm not good at the maths. But you would think when you add up all of the various parks and the different permutations they take around the world, that this is going to, be well into the billions, right? So I don't know if that's accurate or not. I'm not good with the finances. I'm begging for money on the internet. That's what I do. But if they're investing all of this money, all this time, all this capital, all of this promotion into this, and they're supposedly dropping Zelda and Kirby, then as Donkey Kong fans, we're naturally conditioned throughout a lot of our self-inflicted angst throughout the years, but also just some historical precedents that, oh no, they're going to get rid of Donkey Kong. This is just going to be Mario, right? At the end of the day, this is just going to be Mario. And at best, you might get some Donkey Kong plushes that you can win at, like, the little fair games, little carnival games scattered about, but that will be the extent of Donkey Kong representation. And yeah, there's a lot of fear, and, like, they announced the the Robbie Coltrane GoldenEye roller coaster for Harry Potter Land. And then people were like, oh, is that what the minecart concept is going to be used for? Oh, they've gotten rid of the minecart. They've gotten rid of Donkey Kong. And a lot of fear, a lot of worry over the past 2 years. Although my well-placed source, Dave Throat, did assure me that this was all still happening, and has also played a large part of why Nintendo was suddenly reinvested in treating Donkey Kong like a big deal, including separating it from Mario in its merchandising wing and basically putting more time. And we still don't know like the fruition of their plans for Donkey Kong. Like, what's the next Donkey Kong game? We don't know that, but you know, Dave Throat assured me like this is still happening, and Nintendo is going to be doubling down on Donkey Kong as time goes on, especially in the ramp up to the launch of this park. So Dave Throat has never steered me wrong, so, you know, I was kind of placated, but then I also get taken away with people's panic online, you know, so... Oh,
I mean,
well,
yeah, there's reason to think that we're getting scaled back when you look at how this first concept, Donkey Kong Island, looks really extravagant, and then we start hearing about how, well, the concept was a little overambitious and they're dialing back a bunch of elements. Even if we did end up with a Donkey Kong ride, it might have just been like maybe one ride inside the Mario world instead of a whole world.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, and you look at this one piece of concept art of the Congo jungle, and it just basically looks like concept art you would unlock in a retro game by collecting the puzzle pieces. And it honestly, I don't even know if this was made by a retro artist, because it looks very, very similar to the kind of stuff you would see in those games. Whoever did it, if it's not... wasn't done internally at Retro, it's very faithful to the art style, and just every little detail. Just Google it. You can find it on Google. It's there. But yeah, so a lot of silence, and besides some hushed rumors, we didn't really have anything concrete to go on. But then last month, in July, we were hit by more concepts, this time in the form of a very detailed diorama of what the Donkey Kong Island area would look like. And also there's a diorama of the Mario area that came out around the same time, but I honestly never looked at that because I'm a biased little bastard. And
I was going to say, I didn't even know that there was a Mario one leaked as well. I haven't seen it.
Because you get your news from DK Vine, Jeff, and I didn't report it. I think I maybe paid it lip service, but I was like, who cares? Who cares?
I get all the news that I need from the weather report.
Yeah, the Weather Channel. Also, that's why you really like elevator jazz. It's your favorite genre of music.
No, well, what I just said was a music reference, but apparently you didn't get it because you're not a baby boomer like me.
Oh, okay.
It's Simon and Garfunkel.
Sorry. I'm sorry. No, okay.
That's okay. Well, we'll get you there. We'll catch you up on boomer history between this and the next episode.
I'm not even a millennial, Jeff. I'm whatever the younger generation is. Generation... What is
Zoomers.
it? Zoomers,
Gen
yeah.
Z, also known as a Zoomer, because it rhymes with boomer. They're just like a little bit more, attention hyper version of a boomer, a Zoomer. They're running all over the place, playing Fortnite and dabbing. I don't really understand it, but someday they're going to rule this world.
Yeah, just like I once believed the apes were going to rule the world after I saw Planet of the Apes, and that's why I've been sucking up to them ever since.
We need to start sucking up to these younger apes because they're crazy and they hate us.
They hate us for liking bears and birds, and I'm sorry. That's just the way we were raised. So, yeah, this diorama that we reported on, and I actually labeled it. I helpfully labeled it, Jeff, because I was like, I can say what all of these things are, basically. So, it was fun. It was like a Where's Waldo of my own arcane knowledge. Where's Wally for all of our UK audience, because over there it started as Where's Wally, and then it was imported over to the US as Where's Waldo.
Right, because we had that very famous incident with a Wally that we don't talk about. It's a national tragedy.
Yeah, Wally killed JFK, and we all saw him. He was on the grassy knoll, and because we were like, there he is, I see him in that stupid hat and those glasses.
But then they said, well, if we call him Waldo, people will buy it again, right? And then sure enough.
Yeah.
Boomers
So
have
these-
short memory spans.
Because of the dimension it's setting in. This diorama, Jeff, it is kind of a more realistic depiction of that concept art that looked like a Retro Studios puzzle piece that makes no sense out of any context beyond if you've played these games. So this shows the Donkey Kong Island attraction in finer detail and in such a way that it blew all of our minds last month. But we also all talked ourselves down by saying, okay, this is really cool, but this is a diorama from circa 2016. There's no way this is still happening. So there's like this collective squee in the fan base, and they were like, okay, but this is not serious. This was the plans at one time. They've scaled it back. Well, or they're expanding it, but surely they're not expanding it in our direction, despite the meme. And this is not going to be nearly as elaborate in the end. But this diorama, it looks like, again, the Returns/Tropical Freeze era kind of brought to life, but with a flourish or two that hints at the grander legacy of Donkey Kong Country, which is exciting. So, because we know from that initial Attractions Magazine report back in 2017 that they were planning things like animatronics and characters appearing via screens, at least on the minecart ride. So this became a Where's Wally /Doe of like, who can we spot in here? And so, first of all, the minecart ride is it basically runs across the whole side of this attraction, this walled off attraction of Donkey Kong Island. And the sign, I believe, is labeled Minecart Madness. Minecart is hyphenated for some reason, mine-cart, which is not correct in any way, but it is still labeled as Minecart Madness, which is a direct reference, of course.
Yeah, well, I know that all of the Zoomers in the audience wish it was Minecraft Madness, but sorry, you lost. You lost the culture war.
Yeah. Remember when we were the Shatapon generation, Jeff? And it was like the Super Nintendo / N64 generation, where we just got no respect because everything was about NES nostalgia, or it was about the GameCube, and we were just like, but what about us?
Yeah,
now,
Adam Sandler's never made a movie about our games.
Yeah, but now we're sitting high, drinking gin and juice and laughing at the younger generation for not getting what they want. So it comes around, and then eventually you're a skeleton and you're getting dug up and you have stickers placed all over your bones, and that's just the circle of life, my friend.
and there's a couple animal buddies too in this diorama.
Okay, let's build up to because I feel like the animal buddies are actually the most exciting part of this in our weird, very pathetic man-child existence. Okay,
35 to 80 minutes from now, we'll talk about the animal buddies.
Fuck off, Jeff. We're being very considerate about the time this go around.
You know what I will talk about though?
Yes.
I find interesting that this diorama has Funkies flying by. Shop that is run out of a airplane, which was from Tropical Freeze, with Funky Kong as the shopkeeper. Whereas the original concept art had Cranky's hut /shop, kind of with like the like tin roof or whatever. And so now we've got the Funkies flying by instead. I wonder if Cranky will have a presence, or if they've switched it to the Funky Kong as the shopkeeper.
So I'm sure Cranky would still have a presence. I think, as the one piece of concept art was just, I think, predated everything. And I think as the ideas developed, they might have found a better use for Cranky elsewhere. And they're like, the flying by is the most recent shop in the games. Let's go with that. And now, especially, it's with Tropical Freeze for the Switch, and now it becoming much more established among Nintendo fans. The flying by, and who knows, maybe Talks would be there at this point. We don't know.
Right. Yeah, but this concept art is the new Funky Mode version of concept art.
Right. So yeah, we presumably this is where you can buy memorabilia, Donkey Kong memorabilia, like I survived Minecart Madness, the shirt, like, you know, stuff like that. But we also have Donkey Kong's treehouse, still there, looking exactly like it did, beginning in Returns. I call it the Jungle Hut, just to differentiate it from the original treehouse from the Rare era and the Watchtower from Donkey Kong 64, all canonically separate treehouses. He's like Mitt Romney. He owns many homes across his great land.
That's
many
where he got all his wealth. It's where he got his banana horde. He's a real estate mogul.
Actually, Mitt Romney was a vulture capitalist, Bain Capital, and he's why there's no Toys R Us in the U.S. right now.
Yeah, I was talking about Donkey Kong, not Mitt Romney. But yeah, we get it.
I'm just upset because there's no Toys R Us.
Yeah, come on, Mitt Romney. You want to be president, but you're taking away our Toys R Us? Like, I don't think so.
I mean, he'll never become president because that will just kill him. That'll kill him in the primaries, dead. So we also have the aforementioned like temple facade that Attractions Magazine talked about. So it's very similar to the Golden Temple monument from the Cloud stage in Returns. The kind of head when you teleport into the Cloud realm that I presumably Tiki Tong is from. You've got that weird like gorilla head with the like flanked by golden bananas. That's pretty much taken directly from there.
Further down the temple, you know, in the middle of the waterfall, you see an archway flanked by two golden palm trees, and that's pretty much like, I believe, very similar to when you enter the Golden Temple level itself. You begin in front of an archway that looks just like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then there's a giant barrel cannon up there, and I don't know, maybe the barrel cannon will be part of the ride. It's hard to say. I don't see a track connecting to it, but it
looks like it. Yeah, actually, right going over the waterfall, you see there's actually a minecart in the middle of the waterfall, and it looks like if you follow the arch of it, it's like a track leading from the barrel cannon off to a minecart track on the left side, going into a tunnel in the side.
So I wonder if the barrel cannon will be like a simulated coming out of a barrel cannon, and you'll be like launched harder at that point. That would be pretty cool if that's the case. We also have like more return style ruins, like the kind of stone circular things that you would see in the first stage of Returns and referenced in Super Smash Bros. For Wii U in that stage. But I think the most exciting things are the character cameos. We've got a screaming pillar that's hard to see. I think it was Cameron who pointed it out when we were trying to where is Wally / Doe all of this, because the screaming pillar has its back turned. It's on the very edge, but it's definitely a screaming pillar, which would match up with the concept art that we saw. And then there are two animal buddies, Jeff. And of course Rambi is there because Rambi is one of the few holdovers that made it through the Returns era of Donkey Kong.
Yeah, and Rambi even appeared in the pre-Returns buyout era, or like, well, going into Donkey Kong 64, we only had Squawks, Rambi, and On Guard, and then I feel like if they were going to reference any animal buddies beyond that, it usually was either just Squawks and Rambi or just Rambi.
Yeah, and Guard got some play in Barrel Blast,
right,
which everybody remembers.
Which, once again, was just Rambi and On Guard and Squawks. And Quawks.
And weirdly, Radley sometimes gets a nod here or there. He was on, his image appeared on a bridge in Donkey Konga 2, as everyone, I'm sure, is intimately familiar with. And then Radley, of course, had a misspelled street sign in Super Mario Odyssey. Although it should be fair, Rare was the one who first misspelled Radley in Grunty's Furnace Fun in Banjo-Kazooie, because Radley was one of the incorrect options for Histup's name. So, yeah. So I think off-brand non-Donkey Kong games referencing Radley always have to get his name wrong. That's a running gag, Arrested Development style. That Super Mario Odyssey was merely continuing, paying tribute once again, as it did so often, to Banjo-Kazooie. That's how I rationalize it, because they didn't listen to my petition. So I have to get through my life somehow, Jeff. This is how I cope.
So Rambi is expected if you're going to cameo
I
any
figured to say
sort
Rambi
of...
is expecting, and I was like, well, mazel tov, Rambi.
Dude, Rambi's got more than one skeleton inside him right now. No,
Yeah, and then he's gonna have that kid, and then he's gonna like, fuck, I'm at this theme park, and I don't want a child. Where is that giant marshmallow man to suck him up so I can hit the bar?
But the other animal buddy in this diorama is a lot deeper of a pull, of a cut, and that
Now,
is...
okay, so let me set this up a little bit more,
Set
Jeff,
it up,
because
set
I'm
it
all
up a little
about.
more. It hasn't even been 30 minutes. You set it up. Set it up.
I like pageantry. I'm like the minecart ride. I like to wow people, not with thrills, but with showmanship. So this animal buddy, on the scale of, wow, that's a surprising reference, I would say it falls somewhere in the middle, but closer to the, you've got to be fucking kidding me that they're referencing this. It's not on a level of Perry or a Quox or a Glower, the tadpole, but it's still pretty close. You can say it now.
Ellie the elephant from Donkey Kong Country 3.
Fuck! And Donkey Kong Land 3, and of course Donkey Konga also appeared as a spirit in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Okay, so aside from the spirit, Ellie the elephant has not made any appearance in a game since Donkey Konga. Is that correct?
That is correct. And also, Ellie was going to appear in Donkey Kong Racing because Ellie appeared, Kitty was riding her in the final montage of characters when they're vomiting at you from the logo, or from the black void at the end of the Donkey Kong Racing trailer. Ellie was going to be there, but of course, that game died so many times. Just died so many deaths throughout the years. So, no Ellie there. Ellie has only appeared, if we're discounting the spirit, 3 times.
Right, and debuted those, in the least popular of a trilogy of like the game out of the trilogy that never gets referenced.
Except by us.
Except by us, every day.
Yeah, so, Country 3, and then less than a year later, Land 3, and then like an 8-year drought, or like 7-year drought, and then Donkey Konga, and then nothing. And then
we're going on probably like 15 years now without seeing it. Except for the spirit. Yeah.
So, and I believe Squirtle represented Ellie in the spirit battle. Because the squirting, the water.
Pretty clever. Good job, game.
So yeah, Ellie is if you're going to think about Donkey Kong Country 3, then Ellie is like something you think about, but most people don't think about Donkey Kong Country 3, so most people never think about Ellie. And there was some debate on the DK Vine forum, because even if I don't post, I'm watching you. I'm watching all of you. I'm watching you post. I'm watching you reply.
Why is this so sultry all of a sudden? What's that tone you've adopted?
Feet. I'm just thinking about feet, Jeff. Thinking about the feet of our forum goers. I'm thinking about my own feet. I'm looking at my own feet right now. Still got googly eye glue on the toenails. Oh, yeah. So, there's some debate that, well, maybe this isn't Ellie. Maybe this is the elephant from the Returns. I was going to say games, but it only appeared in Returns. Maybe this is the elephant that we call Elliot, who I just gave the name of my childhood friend that I played Donkey Kong Country games with, and he moved on with his life. He had kids that I don't know if he's stuck up Kirby yet, but I, on the other hand, just decided to dedicate my life to this, and who's laughing now? Elliot. And there's well, maybe that's Elliot, because this is all heavily based on the Retro Studios era. And no, it's Ellie. You look in, you zoom in, it's got Ellie's eyes. I mean, it's basically a perfect recreation of that original render made by the DKC3 team. So that's pretty cool. And this was back in 2016. Like, this predates K. Rool in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. This predates like so many of the past elements being openly referenced again. So that they were even planning on having an Ellie statue out in the bushes, we don't think this is going to be an animatronic just because it would be out in the open air, like with the rain and stuff. So unless it would be very well protected, the humidity and, what have you, is probably just a stationary statue of Ellie, but still pretty cool. And that opens up the possibilities of who else might they be referencing that we can't see in this diorama.
Right, especially because we know there are, screen elements most likely to the rides. We can't see inside any of the interior parts of the ride. We can't see inside any of the shops or houses,
right.
The treehouse. So, I mean, I think Squawks is a given. Squawks is,
Squawks is going to be there somewhere. Going to be there. I looked hard for Squawks because Squawks being green and yellow would blend in so well with so much of the foliage and leafy bits here. But nobody spotted Squawks if Squawks is indeed here. And I'm sure Squawks, because Squawks is another carryover for, into the Retro Studios era. So surely Squawks will be referenced, probably in the flying by, honestly.
Yeah, that's a good point. In the flying by, you're probably going to have a little animatronic Squawks just kind of, squawking about.
Or maybe there's going to be a screen or something. Of course, I could also see, much like Galaxy Edge, you could actually buy a plush Squawks. Wouldn't that be something? Oh, wouldn't that be something? Jeff, wouldn't that be so? Oh my God, I want one.
Hyle, so less excited about this than you are on account of I'm just cringing at the idea of stepping into a shop and seeing so much, potentially a lot of Donkey Kong themed merchandise that I don't own and want, but I won't have money for, because going to Orlando and buying a theme park ticket is already money plus hotel space or whatever, and that's expensive. And then they're gonna throw. Then you suggest they might have a plush Squawks. How am I gonna survive this? I'm gonna have to start selling all of my organs.
Yeah. I was gonna suggest organs. Well, I was gonna sell them for you anyway, Jeff, while you slept. I mean, I already sized you up when we shared the same bed at E3. I know where to cut.
So that's why you were that hard. All right. No, I think that after I start donating all my organs, by the time I finally get down there, I'm going to be nothing but a skeleton.
Well, I would say you're a soft celebrity. You're a celebrity in the DK Vine community, so that would almost count.
Well, my skeleton, you can't tell the difference between my skeleton and Tom Holland's.
That's true. I could just say I'm with Tom Holland's bones. So.
He's like 20 years old, and we're suggesting that he could be a skeleton. That we're hopefully that he won't be a skeleton for 100 years. We love you, Tom.
Yeah, right. I want much more Spider-Man sequels, Tom Holland. Get to work. Put those bones to work. What about a plush Squitter? I'm just gonna go down the list now and tantalize you.
Fuck, a plush Squitter with he's got so many feet, Hyle. He's got so many feet.
He's got so many feet. Oh, I'd be playing with his shoes all day. Those cool ass sneakers. I would just be like booping them with my fingers.
Booping them, boop. Oh shit.
So anyway,
they can charge anything they want. They can charge anything they want for a Squitter plush, and they will get it.
An organ. I would give them one of my kidneys. I'd be like, I don't need this one. Fuck, I'll just wedge a Squitter plush in there, and my body will be whole.
Yeah.
So this excited us in mid-July. It was a source of titillation, but also measured realism, because we thought surely this is going to be much more muted if we get anything. It'll be the minecart ride, maybe the treehouse, probably not a flying by. And a flying by is important in the point I'm about to make. So this past week, they had a big to-do. August 1st, they had the grand unveiling of what the expansion to Universal Orlando is going to be. And that was the Epic Universe reveal. And they didn't reveal any details in said reveal, but they did show an overview of the new park. And they changed colors on it to not give away what things are going to be. So there's some confusion among like industry analysts, because something I've learned from my time DK Vine in this last decade, and from interacting with the likes of Tanya and Banks Lee and the whole theme park attraction subculture, is that there is like this whole kind of, I don't know, network of people who just exist in a sphere. So you've got to like use sneaky tactics, or else the spies from like Disney and SeaWorld are going to come in and they're going to be like, we know what you're building here and we're going to bomb it. We're going to blitz your Universal Dracula attraction.
It's literally like analyzing, overhead plane footage. Like the CIA is like, they're building bombs in Cuba. We can tell because this is from last month and this is this month, and that's a bomb factory. We gotta.
Yeah, and there is initially industry scuttlebutt about, well, maybe like the Mario portions are going to be in a separate part of the park. And it then eventually settled later in the day on the idea that they just changed the coloring to make it appear on Mario-like. But there was one crystal clear area of this overview, and it was only crystal clear because it more or less exactly matched up with this diorama. And yes, Donkey Kong Island is plainly visible on the overview. It's the diorama only flipped on its side, like by 90 degrees. And what tipped it off was we spotted Funky's flying by. We spotted this blob of white in the corner next to, and then you look over and you see what looks like Donkey Kong's treehouse with another little hut underneath it. And I'm not sure what that's about, but this is something that wasn't plainly visible on the view of the diorama we had. So, and I'm sure they made some changes, but more or less, this is exactly the way the diorama was laid out. And it is here on the map. They didn't change the coloring really of anything because they probably thought we don't need to because there's nothing that really screams Donkey Kong here. But little did they know, we saw their fucking diorama, Jeff. We know what colors Funky's plane are, and they're white. So we Sherlocked the shit out of this. We didn't need Benedict Cumberbatch's skeleton to do it.
He's alive. But anyway,
still has a skeleton.
One thing that I like about this new park, Epic Universe, a whole brand new park, is so they're going hard with that idea of the every
I'm going
section.
hard right now, Jeff.
Yeah, you are. I've seen it.
You've seen it. You can attest to his magnificence.
Every individual subsection of the park, every individual world, or every individual universe is a self-contained pocket of immersion to a different property with no crossover. Like the Donkey Kong Park is not like sharing a wall with it's not sharing any elements with the Mario Park. Like it is its own area that's entirely Donkey Kong themed. And what that also means, a big part of theming these individual areas is that they have their own separately themed shops or even restaurants. So we get the Funkies flying by because if you're going to make a separate Donkey Kong area and you want to have this very immersive, like Harry Potter world-esque area of a park, then you're also going to want to include a lot of additional ways for people to spend money. Like in the Harry Potter world, yes, they have rides and attractions, but half of the attraction is that you can go and do shops that are from the Harry Potter universe and spend your money on robes and wands and candy. And they're not going to do that in every single section. Like it's not going to be elaborate. Like every single section will have a whole street worth of shops, but you'd expect they're going to probably have a restaurant and a shop in most of these individual worlds. So that's really exciting because
you're not going to get robes and wands and candy in Donkey Kong Island, but you're probably going to get ghost ropes and dongs and Candy Kong. So close.
Say dongs?
Dongs, yeah.
Okay. But yeah, what I think that one of the big points of logic behind these type of immersive sub worlds and how you can make them so like self-contained and very heavy in theme, and then have their own individual shops and stores and restaurants, is that you are cashing in on and tapping into fandom. You are because so many people show up to Harry Potter World not because they like roller coasters, but because they want to be in Harry Potter's world. And there are going to be people that say they come to Epic Universe and they say, I want to spend time in Donkey Kong's world. I want to eat while I'm here at the park and having fun with my family and doing these rides. I'm going to want to eat at a restaurant that is Donkey Kong themed and jungly because I like the tropical theme, or I like Donkey Kong or whatever. And then there will be other people who want to spend their time at Fantastic Beasts or How to Train Your Dragon or whatever. But it's just, you're tapping into people's preference of fandom instead of having the rides be themed, but then there's like the restaurants and shops and stuff are just kind of centrally located and not individually themed. Like you bifurcate these into essentially separate theme parks that are like this is like a whole little Donkey Kong theme park within the wider theme park.
Right,
and I love that.
Even within Super Nintendo World, it is its own separate section. So, and it's completely isolated. Like, you're not going to be in Donkey Kong Island and seeing the Mushroom Kingdom. You're going to be completely immersed in this little bubble of Donkey Kong. And like, holy crap, holy shit, holy feces. Like, this is more than I could have ever dreamed of when I was a kid. And it's just, it still seems so unreal, but here we are with this announcement just a few days ago. It's still happening, Jeff. It's happening exactly like we saw it happening last month. Like, we don't even know the extent, all the little nuances. That's what I'm going to be excited about. The little touches, like Ellie hiding in the bushes. Like, what are we going to see on this minecart? Like, in the interior parts of it, what characters are going to appear? Are they going to incorporate K. Rool? Now that K. Rool is a big fucking deal. Yeah. There's just so much to consider, so much to hope for, so much to daydream about. This is going to be a frequent source of discussion. We don't have any release date for when this park is going to be finished. But over the next few years, this is going to linger and be a constant source of speculation and debate and hopes and dreams. And it's also going to be nothing but good things for the Donkey Kong brand, because so long as this is coming, Donkey Kong has to remain relevant. Donkey Kong has to remain a big deal, and it will.
Yeah, that's what is great with these IP, existing IP based theme park rides, is that the IP itself, in this case, Donkey Kong video games, they feed into the popularity of the theme park. But also the theme park will feed into the popularity of the video games, because you're going to have crossover appeal where people who are not who don't buy Donkey Kong video games that often are still going to know who the brand is. They're going to know the brand. They're going to know the character. They're going to think that the jungle theme and the roller coaster is fun, and that will get them back into the video games. Or the kids who get exposed to the property at the park are going to be like, oh, this is a video game. I want to go play that video game. Zoomers are going to get exposed. Zoomers, yeah. How? We might be able to convince them yet.
Not just Zoomers, but the bones of the greatest generation will be taken to this park. Think of all the skeletons who fought the Nazis.
Well, let's not forget about the Korean War skeletons. Those ones always get forgotten.
They do. The Forgotten War. It truly was. But yeah, you think about all the thousands of people who visit this park every year, or who will visit this park every year. And then how many of them are going to then go home and Google Donkey Kong, because they're like, you know what? I quite enjoyed that jungle bit. I want to find out more about what I just experienced. I want to relive that, but in my own personal time.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they sell copies of Tropical Freeze in the park. I wouldn't be surprised if they just straight up did that. Like, yeah, you can buy Tropical Freeze for Switch. Here it is. It's $60.
Yeah. Or maybe, they'll give out, like, they'll print out every page from DK Vine and they'll sell that as a book. And they'll be like, here you go. This explains it a bit more.
Yeah, they'll just have the conversation playing over the speakers around the area.
That's what they're going to play on the minecart coaster. They're just going to pipe this in. Pipe this episode in.
Yeah.
Just us talking.
Just a bunch of baby boomers disgustedly ripping off their headphones at my Sharon Tate joke.
Who would make Sharon Tate references in 2019?
It's me. That's it. Well,
Yeah.
didn't they
And
just
Quentin
come out with
Tarantino.
Tarantino. I was going to say, they just come out with that movie.
That was my joke.
Okay. See,
yeah.
I haven't watched it. So I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know it that well.
It's about Sharon Tate
Oh, okay.
and little Bruce Lee.
I've heard of her.
Yeah. No, she was in that murder. So we should take some phone calls because guess who called in? But also somebody else called in. But also, I should plug the hotline. DK Vine, you can give us a call on our hotline anytime you want at 1-202-630-VINE. That's 8463. And you can leave a call for the conversation. Whether it's about that episode we're going to record or you just want to talk in general at us, and we'll save that for a call sack. But yeah, give us a call anytime, day or night, at 1-202-630-VINE. And while I'm at it, once this episode ends, it's going to be like visiting Donkey Kong Island at Epic Universe, Universal Orlando. You're going to want to know more about DK Vine when you get home. So be sure to check out dkvine.com. That is our website. That is what all of this is centered around. Also, we're on social media, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, dkvine.com/any of those. We're also on YouTube. We're not getting any money for it, but we're still on there because we care about you, the people. We're not in this for the money. dkvine.com/poochu because I'm passive aggressive. And also, since Jeff is here, you should check out Golden Sands blog post.
That's a blog I run about Sea of Thieves. So if you like Sea of Thieves, I don't know why you're still listening to this because it seems like none of this audience likes Sea of Thieves. But check out Golden Sands blog post for coverage of Sea of Thieves. That's
right. Well, some of the audience does like Sea of Thieves, and then there are the people who are like, "Why are you talking about Sea of Thieves?" And like, well, because and by that point they've already left, and I don't have to actually come up with a reason.
All right, so we've got some calls, right? We've got some calls.
So let's listen to the first one. The first one is somebody, and then the next two are somebody else. So there you go.
Hi, what's going on? It's Smash. Dude. Hold on. My phone, wait. Wow. So yeah, man, that what the hell is it? The Orlando theme park. Listen, bro, I hope it's gonna be fun. There seems to be a lot of DK Easter eggs and whatnot, and like 2 rides. But I'm gonna be real with you, man. I'm not expecting much. I'm glad that DK's recognized enough to get a piece of the Nintendo land. It has to. But I'm gonna be real with you, man. I am not expecting much, and which we know it's sad, but we'll enjoy it. Me, you, everybody else, we'll be giggling all of the way home. But is it gonna teach anybody anything? Like, come on, man. Ramby's the only animal buddy, and I just want some history and lore going on with this ride also. That's it. That's all I want. Anyway, that's my piece. I don't think it's going to be, it's going to be fun for us, but I think it's just going to be underwhelming. That's really it.
That was Smash with the pessimist take on this. No, Ellie is there.
It's a really
Smash?
funny thing to me that he says, we're gonna love it so much that we're going to be giggling all the way home, but also I just think I'm going to be underwhelmed. Like,
Yeah.
How?
No, he's definitely like smeagling it a bit. I'm getting two sides of Smash there, and I don't know which side to trust. I think he's just a little upset because he knows there's not going to be any cartoon references, and he really wants like a Bluster Kong animatronic. He wants that Barrel Factory in there. And he knows he's not going to get it.
Right, because the concept art said Donkey Kong Island, not Congo Bongo Island. So we know.
So that immediately invalidates the possibility for any cartoon references. Plus, I really have to say, I don't know how the rights issues work, but I'm assuming that Nintendo probably does not own Bluster Kong.
But speaking to his point, though, I will say, and the idea of like his not getting his hopes too high, you know, I think this is going to be incredible, and I think that, you know, it's going to be a really amazing thing for us, for any fans of Donkey Kong, to check it out. But we should also dial back your expectation, at least to the point of recognizing that this is going to be like one or two, maybe two rides to ride. I don't think you're going to spend really an entire like 8 hours in this part. So you need, well, you know, Hyle might, but point is, it's best to consider that you're going to want to also like, if you're going to go to Epic Universe, you probably need to at least have a passing interest in checking out more than just the Donkey Kong area. I, for one, think that the classic Universal Monsters themed area is going to be an area where I'll spend a lot of time. Obviously, other Nintendo-based stuff, like we know there's a Mario area, I'll check it out. And even things that I'm not much a fan of, say something like How to Train Your Dragon, it might have a really cool ride. Like, and you know, we're gonna, obviously this is so early in the process that we don't know what is gonna be popular. We don't know what the rides are gonna be like. It might be that you get there and like the number one thing people always have to check out is this crazy cool ride that's in the Fantastic Beasts land of the area. So, like, get hype about Donkey Kong. Do that. But recognize that if you're going to spend a whole day or 2 days at a park like people often do, you're going to want to have some interest in checking out stuff beyond the Donkey Kong world.
I mean, I'm not. I'm going to spend all day, every day at the Donkey Kong Island attraction.
Well, they're going to kick you out because you're going to show up naked wearing nothing but a necktie, and they don't allow that.
I'll cover my inappropriate bits with the skeleton of Rutger Hauer, because by that point he'll be fully decomposed. So
didn't that guy just die?
By that point, he will be fully decomposed.
I'm not questioning the logic of it. I'm just, you know, I was hoping for a really obscure boomer reference, like, I don't know, skeleton of Janis Joplin. That's not obscure, but like,
it's not obscure at all.
The point is not obscure.
Rutger Hauer is more obscure than Janis Joplin.
My point is, we got to talk about skeletons from like 50 years ago. Like, that's what the audience wants.
I'm sorry. I know I'm failing my audience, and I know this is why YouTube demonetized me, because I'm not being too obscure with my skeleton references, and YouTube just won't have it, because they're like, look, what you do best is talking about old bones, and you're talking about fairly fresh bones here. Sorry, but no ad money for you.
Damn. Well,
yeah.
So, I mean, but what do you think about Smash's pessimism or reserve?
I think it's misplaced. Look, Ellie's there. The fact that this is a thing at all, if you would have asked me 10 years ago if this was going to be a thing 10 years from then, I would have spat at you. And that we're so far from where we were at the absolute like lowest point in 2009, because I really feel like 2009 was the lowest point for the fandom. And obviously Returns was in development, but we didn't know it then. And this was like right after Nuts and Bolts, and like it just felt like Rare was done, and it felt like Donkey Kong was done. We had one minor cameo in Punch-Out for the Wii, and that was considered like a big deal. But it just felt like everything was almost finished. Like we were probably going to shut down DK Vine the next year because there's no point in continuing to pay for it. It just felt like that. And oh man, 10 years later, here we are. Like K-Rool's in Smash Brothers, Banjo-Kazooie are in Smash Brothers, Rare is thriving, Playtonic is thriving. There is a Playtonic, and they're thriving. And we're here looking at a Donkey Kong Island section of a major like theme park. What? This is crazy. We have come so far, and so yeah, get excited, man. Like don't be down on like. Go into it with your best hopes, and even if they don't reference everything you want referenced, who cares? It's still amazing that it exists at all.
Yeah,
it'll be fun.
I think that it's an important point where the fandom has to adapt to the fact that Donkey Kong as a brand is healthy and thriving, but not in the way that we would have like asked for, 15 years ago when we had our wildest imagination. Our expectations have to be dialed back to the point of recognizing that, yeah, they're not going to get crazy obscure all the time and be like, referencing ridiculously niche characters and things from games that are over 20 years old. But you take the fact that we get the little victories, like Ellie the elephant is fairly obscure, and those are the exception, not the rule. Like the Donkey Kong brand has become very, they've standardized the look in settings and stuff to be sort of that returns. Like, yeah, you always get kind of like generic jungle-y Golden Temple setting, where they don't deviate much. They don't get any very deeper cut than that very often. But my point is that's not necessarily a bad thing. You just have to adjust your expectations and be, I'm not saying be happy with what you get if you're not, but I'm happy, and I feel like you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't allow yourself to be happy when you get something really cool like this shit. This shit looks cool. Who's
to say this is going to remain stagnant too? Like they can cycle in new animatronics and new bits and new features as time goes on,
right?
And as we get like a new Donkey Kong game, you might see some influence impacting the theme park attraction. So
exactly. Well, and the whole park, Epic Universe, from the layout that we've seen, it clearly shows the potential, in their design for 2 or possibly even 3 ways they can expand out to add even more worlds or attractions. So.
Right.
All of this is just like, this is the beginning, really.
Yeah. So yeah. Come on, Smash. Put on a happy face. Smile. All right.
We got another call.
Let's
or 2.
Yeah, well, we got 2 more calls. Let's take them back to back because they are one continuous chunk. So here we go. Call 2 and 3.
Hi, it's me. Tanya, your favorite person. So, I care about this stuff a lot. The theme park stuff. So, obviously I'm going to call in and give you guys a lot of material to talk about. So, anyway, first thing, of course. I want to know how you guys feel about the possibility that Donkey Kong might actually be connected to Mario still, because the current discussion is that if you notice in front of Donkey Kong, there's this weird mass of stuff that doesn't really look like anything. People are thinking that's just the Mushroom Kingdom, but decolorized to the point where you can't tell what it is, because a theme with this concept art is that you can't really tell what anything is. And by chance, the only thing that's identifiable is Donkey Kong Island because it's a jungle, and that was the only thing rumored to be in there. That's jungle, so therefore, it's Donkey Kong Island. So, that's one thing, of course. The other thing is, so I know that this probably isn't canon or whatever, but even if you consider Smash Brothers canon, Hyle, whatever, just try to have fun with this, okay? So, there's been talk about what if this theme park has a storyline or some sort of backstory to back up why you, of all people, are traveling between worlds. Like, there's this one concept I heard, which was that, what if, or rather, this is a world that takes place in the future where, say, a scientist built a time machine or a portal or something to other worlds, and that's why you have quick access to Donkey Kong Island, to Mushroom Kingdom, to DreamWorks, to everything. So that's another thing. Okay, I wonder what you think about the storyline for the park and how you would just kind of incorporate that into the DKU or like try to justify what's going on here. Because Donkey Kong's part of another crossover now, one that's bigger than Smash Brothers, the Fantastic Worlds. Sorry, not Fantastic Worlds, Epic Universe. Because the original title for this theme park was going to be Fantastic Worlds, and it was changed to Epic Universe for two reasons, of course, which is that one, Fantastic Beasts, and Warner Bros. didn't want Universal to confuse it with that, even if that's in. Alright, so I just realized that I hit the limit for the call. Oops. I wasn't done yet. So, anyway. What I was going to say was that the original name for this theme park was the Fantastic World, and of course, because of Fantastic Beasts, which is also part of this theme park, for some reason, Warner Brothers objected to it, and they changed to Epic Universe. But it's also so they could have used this. They had a press conference where they said a universe is bigger than a world, as a come back to Disney World. Remember that past press conference, that which I was jokingly calling the Nintendo Direct, was made more for the city, so they were getting excited for stuff like a 15-hour minimum wage and stuff for Universal Studios. Which, hey, 15 an hour, that's pretty good. So, Bernie Sanders is great. But, so you see, this, I hate this name. I really hate it. It's super redundant. It's Universal's Epic Universe. That's the worst possible name ever. If you could make a name for this theme park, Kyle, just make it up right now. Tell me. Make up a better name for a crossover theme park. Please. Now, of course, my final question is, are you going to go Hyle? And are you going to do the entire Universal thing? Or just going to Donkey Kong Land? Please, okay? Please tell me what you're going to do. So, that's it for me for now. And hope you have a great time doing whatever you're doing. And just remember that, stuff, right? I'm a little tired. Have a good one.
Thank you for ending on such a low energy note, Tanya. Also, you were yelling at us for getting the names wrong of all these various park areas or themed areas earlier in the episode, but you called it Donkey Kong Land, and it's Donkey Kong Island as far as we're aware. Donkey Kong Island.
Are we sure? It could be called Donkey Kong is Land. They just left out the space.
Well, right. We don't know anything at this point, I guess. They could have left off the space because they got Minecart Madness wrong, right? Because they put the hyphen in it. Anyway, my point is, I don't have a point. I'm trying to make heads or tails of the last 5 minutes of Tanya's call. So, first of all, will I spend all my time at Donkey Kong Island, or will I check out the rest? Well, Jeff and I already touched upon this. I'll spend, let's say, 90% of my time at Donkey Kong Island. I will probably want to check out Dracula's Spooky Funtime Castle, because that sounds kind of cool. But my heart will still be at Donkey Kong Island, and I'll just be, counting the seconds until I can get back. Jeff, I'm sure you being much more of a Renaissance man than me, you'll want to check out the entire thing.
Yeah, I will. I went to Universal Studios 20 2012 or so. Before they expanded the Harry Potter world. But, obviously I checked out the Harry Potter world. That was awesome. I love, they have, like, a Men in Black ride. They have, like, The Mummy. I'm not even, like, a fan of The Mummy, but it's a cool ride.
The Mummy.
They had a ride based on the movie Twister, for us baby boomers. And I liked that. And, like, the Hulk and shit. So, yeah, for me, it's like, I'm not even have to be a fan of every property to enjoy the pageantry of the theme and also just the thrill of the rides. So I'll check out pretty much everything that I can fit in my schedule, because obviously, to really check out everything, you probably want to spend like more than a day there, and I don't know if I will, but yeah, and I'm being told in the live stream chat, something I already know, the Twister ride is gone, replaced with Jimmy Fallon's Fun Time Party House. But, I don't know. It makes me sad. But anyway, that kind of brings up a good point, that I'm glad that the addition of Donkey Kong is not a subtraction of an old ride, because it's a whole new park. That's kind of fun.
I'm also glad that Jimmy Fallon isn't promoting Donkey Kong in any way. 'Cause the last time he did that, it was pretty lame.
Oh,
do you remember that, Jeff?
No,
do you remember back when he promoted Donkey Kong Country Returns?
Yeah, that was like 100 years ago. I do remember that.
Yeah, no, it was like 9 years ago, but yeah, it happened, and it was pretty stupid because he was just feigning enthusiasm. He was like, "Donkey Kong, he's back, guys!" And then he just, I don't know, played beer pong with Reggie. I don't even fucking remember what happened. It's awful.
So, okay, Tanya also asked a different question, which was about if there is a story to the attraction. What do you think about the canon of that? Because we think of Smash Brothers as canon, but for instance, we don't think of the Donkey Kong Country cartoon as canon, and a lot of people have different opinions on that.
Here's my thing, Jeff. So we do have an EU for a couple of different DK Vine properties, the broader Donkey Kong universe, and Sea of Thieves has an official EU that's very consistent and internally feeds back into the games. We've got the novel, we've got the comics, we've got the upcoming role-playing game. So Sea of Thieves has a very vibrant, expanded universe. Playtonic has Ukulele and the Cracklestone, the officially sanctioned graphic novel we're getting close to the launch of, and that will be considered official canon. There's never been anything comparable with Donkey Kong as far as EU. So I am willing to leave it on the table for now whether or not any of this is canon. Right now, I'm thinking none of it will be, but we are living in a rapidly evolving world when it comes to this kind of stuff. And we know Galaxy's Edge for Star Wars, that is considered Star Wars canon. They've taken great pains to make sure that is canon, and everything in there is internally consistent with the Star Wars lore. So maybe, I don't know, like,
this is the way I like to think of it. I think that people get hung up on the idea that of what we call the DKU and what is DKU and what is not. And it's like, yeah, this is not going to be DKU because the DKU is just a list of video games. And this is not a video game. But things that are not DKU are not necessarily non-canon. And people get too hung up on that. Like, for instance, the Donkey Kong arcade era is not part of our DKU because we are focused on the universe that has sprung out of Donkey Kong Country. This is a fan site for Donkey Kong Country and beyond. So we don't consider that DK Arcade to be part of quote-unquote the DKU. But we still believe all of those events in the arcade era happened. They're part of... They inform the backstory of Donkey Kong Country, and they're part of the, quote-unquote canon, or the wider canon of the... So, like, what is DKU and what is canon are not the same thing. And if this park thing has any kind of, like, story to it, not that anything Donkey Kong has much of a story, what can happen is that it can inform our understanding of canon, of what is canon, or it can be, roughly considered part of the canon, even if it's not DKU. Those aren't, mutually exclusive.
It could be maybe on the same level as like proclamations in scribes, Yeah, Tanya, she also asked, if I had a better name for Epic Universe, and I do. Are you ready, Jeff?
Yeah, hit me.
Multiversal Studios.
I think it's funny and bad.
Yeah, no, I'm terrible. There's a reason I don't get hired.
No, that's
for
fine.
anything.
I would just call it Universal Studios Worlds Collide. You say I'm going to Worlds Collide.
I would call it Universal Studios Plus. Because it's like Universal Studios, but you get a little something extra.
It's probably something in just the word universal. Not universe, like Epic Universe, because then it's like redundant. Universal Studios Epic Universe is like redundant. But I think, I don't know. This is why I'm not paid to do this, because I'm not good at it. But also, the guy who did it wasn't good at it. So why'd he get paid?
Well, this is why I'm not paid for anything.
Oh,
at
it's
all.
true. Too real.
Yeah.
I don't even get the Patreon money. So, I'm like, if you're poor, I'm just like a little bit more poor.
Yeah, no, it's true. It is. This is also very real. But thank you for the calls, Tanya. You really brought us down and made us realize the horrific conditions of our self-inflicted poverty. All right, final thoughts. So we do have a vaguely detailed idea of what to expect from this diorama, from all the leaked plans. We just saw the minecart being tested off-site this week. Somebody sneaky with their camera, they got into the bushes and they showed this minecart being tested, looking much like the sketches from back in 2016. So we know what the main attraction is. We know what the little shoppy in there will be. We know where the kids will climb. They're going to climb all up on Donkey Kong's treehouse. They're going to break into it like very naughty in Donkey Kong Country Game Boy Advance once you beat Gorilla Glacier, as everyone knows. And but there's going to be maybe little tiny little dabs, like the dance move, dabs, like the Zoomers do in here, for other attractions, like not rides, but maybe things that can support it, like maybe a little restaurant, a little eatery for Donkey Kong. Jeff, what would you like to see that we have not seen on this diorama or any of the plans thus far?
Okay, well, see, I want a couple things. One, I want to be able to go in a barrel. Okay, I want to be the experience of being in a barrel. Possibly at the same time is number two, I like to be able to role play as a Kremling, like maybe even a specific Kremling, like a claptrap, and then they could turn that into a game or an attraction where maybe there's a bunch of beavers and you have to corral them into like a hole in the barrel, and this has the potential, I think, to be the most fun anyone can have at a theme park. Corralling these beavers into, these bothersome little critters into a hole in a barrel, and you're just chopping at them, choppy, chop, chop, like that. And everyone's going to love that. I think that everyone is going to love.
I agree that everyone will love it. I just don't think they can be bothered.
What do you like? What do you want? What's your ideas?
I want an attraction called Donkey Kong Moonraker. All right, so it's good. Those feats of strength games you get at like carnivals. You have to whack the thing, and then the little thing goes up, and you hit. If it hits the top, you win the prize. Yeah. So I want one where it's a variation on that, where you put on a giant Donkey Kong fist, like those Hulk fists, but painted brown.
Ooh.
And you have to punch a large moon. And the harder you punch the moon, and the more you whack it into the earth, the better your prize is. But the only prizes are bananas. So it's like if you do a bad job, you get a rotten banana. And if you hit the earth and you cause the tides to shift and you cause a worldwide calamity, then you get a banana that's ready to eat. And that's my idea. And that's what I want.
I like
more than anything.
More than anything.
Yeah.
You're going to take like my least favorite part of Donkey Kong Country Returns and make it the focus of an
Everybody's
attraction.
least favorite part. everybody's least favorite part, except, the deviants of society.
Yeah.
Because they're all for it, but everybody's least favorite part, the part that really got the tone of Donkey Kong wrong. It was Donkey wrong, and they it was like retro. I was on board with this until now, and now I'm thinking they should take the series away from you. Oh man.
Yeah.
This is terrible. But, that's what I want, because I feel like, embrace the good and the bad, the yin and the yang, the salty and the sweet. That's my philosophy, Jeff. That's the way I want to live my life. I want to have every flavor of this grand experiment called Earth.
Right. You celebrate Jim Morrison, but you also celebrate Charlie Manson. Like it's and you viewers at home could win a banana if you were to dig up either of those skeletons and put it on Twitter with you put the DK Vine Patreon stickers on the skeletons. This is important because it's raising money for charity. So put the stickers on the skeletons of famous people, but don't break any laws, but do dig up the dead bodies of celebrities. And put the stickers.
And the charity is going to is our plane tickets so we can go to this fucking park.
Yeah, because we're so helplessly poor. Honestly, I think I have a cavity, but I don't have insurance, so I'm just not going to go to the dentist.
No, that's a shame, because that's just a hole in your own bone.
It's a bone hole.
This has been a File 2 production.
Qué rico.